The first chart I really have is what's called the inverse name law. And this will hopefully help you understand some things. On this side of it, we have big sounding names, and down here, small sounding names. Across the bottom here, it's number of employees. So when Rena started, she was called the Kilgannon Group. Group? Well, that sounds like a lot of people. Yeah, 2 of them. Okay. A few years later, as you saw from the slides, they became Kilgannon McReynolds. Sounds like 2 people. Oh, wait a minute, they were actually 10 people at that time. Then, in about 2005, we just went to Kilgannon. Sounds like just 1 person, okay? But whoa, we were 30 people. Our problem, I decided, is we should have changed the name to just the K Agency. Okay? We would have been huge, huge. But that's the inverse name law to help you understand one of Rena's concepts. And my guess is now her consulting firm is probably named the Kilgannon Group.
It is called Kilgannon Group.
Just one.
It consists of me and Bella and Zoe.
There's another concept some people have referred to known as Rena time. For those science majors, I've actually put it into a formula for you. Rena time equals EM squared. That's exposure to any crazy-ass idea times the speed of light squared. So up here we have no time to do it and lots of time to do it. Rena would get exposed to some crazy-ass idea, and everybody in the agency would have to drop everything they were doing and work on making whatever crazy-ass thing this was we were doing for about a week, okay? And then we'd have the rest of the year where we really wouldn't do anything because you got exposed to another crazy-ass idea, at which point we'd have no time to immediately start doing that. This next chart, and once again, I'm a chart guy. We like charts. It's bar charts. I mean, everybody loves a bar chart. And the Kilgannon Group has its bar chart. In 1990, Trio was our favorite bar. It was like now a Mexican restaurant on Piedmont.
Where's Trio? I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, it was right down from Piedmont Center, right there. We had the small agencies that large in the basement.
Oh, is it Trio? I thought it was
No, it's Trio. Then when they moved to Shadowlawn, across the street was this girly place called Kudzu that would serve vegetarian burgers that they all loved. When we moved to Brookwood Exchange, our bar became the Beer Mug. Kristen could play hell of a pool. She beat all the guys. When we moved to farther up Peachtree, the Prince of Wales, Greg, and you were a big Prince of Wales guy. And then in more recent times, Ormsby's, and that's basically the agency bar chart. Now, for those of you familiar with bar charts, there's also the concept known as the stacked bar chart. To that, we have to thank Scott. Julie, don't listen to any of this. Don't waste your time. The stacked bar chart involves cheetah. This was primarily when Scott, I think, was single again. We were at the Gold Club, and there was usually somebody having a bachelor party. Tattletales. Greg amazingly took a bunch of the women after the Christmas party to the Pink Pony. But that's a stacked bar chart as opposed to just a regular bar chart.
Terry.
Who knows what this is?
Terry.
No. This is my drawing of Vin Diesel, so it's a Venn diagram. This is just a way to lead into Rena's Venn diagram. So if we were doing a campaign or something, we would first spend all this time doing digital stuff. It was sponge cells, retargeting, geo-targeting, bio-targeting, psycho-targeting. We figure out every friggin' digital way to target somebody. Then, in another event circle, we do strategy stuff. It involves pillars and umbrellas and columns under umbrellas and all kinds of things. But we do a whole bunch of that. And then we get Dave, and this would drive him friggin' crazy, give us some trendy media stuff. I mean, these were ads in toilets, on escalator steps, inside of closets, wherever. But we do that. And then this little area right here, this is where we'd actually ask the creative people to frickin' do an ad. Oh, I have to go sideways on this one. Well, every agency has to have a process, and by God, Rena had a process. Thank you, Vanna. The first stage of our process, and actually Stephen was a master of this chart, as I recall, was discover, and this is where we trick clients into paying us a whole bunch of money just to figure out what the hell it is they do. Then we get them to spend a whole bunch more money with us while we analyze what it is the hell they do. Then we get some more people in and strategize about, well, if this is what they do, this is what we ought to do. And then at some point we tell the creative people what they need to do to make an ad, which they would do, and then we'd promptly be fired. But our creative just doesn't come out of nowhere. We had a decision process for evaluating creative. We wouldn't adopt any old thing you guys try and run by us. No, 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 no. So the first part is you start with the creative idea. The first decision point is it a good idea or is it a bad idea? If it's a bad idea, you go over here. And then the next decision is, well, what the hell? Will the client spend a bunch of money on it anyway? If the answer is no, it's killed. But if it's yes, you're back into the mix, which with the good ideas. The next question is, will the client's sales go up as a result of this? If the answer is yes, well, it's pretty easy. We just run that ad campaign. If the answer is no, we're not done yet. Can we win a lot of awards even though their sales are going to go down? If the answer is yes, well, hell, we're going to run it anyway. And if the answer is no, we kill it. So in short, we run two kinds of ad campaigns. Good ideas that make sales go up, and bad ideas the clients spend a lot of money on that we can win a lot of awards. Now I'm going into a whole area of charts I'm sure many of you are familiar with, and we spoke about which are the suck charts. Okay. At Kilgannon, you could suck as an individual employee, we could suck as a group or a department, or we could suck as an entire agency.
I'm starting to feel bad.
Aww.
My first chart is called the employee life cycle chart. Up here is where you're a genius. Down here, you suck. Okay? When you're hired, I don't care if you're as dumb as an Idaho potato. In Rena's mind, you were a genius. Okay? And for a while, all of us had to put up with your crazy ideas until you started doing some work, and we realized you suck. Okay? At which point, you started down the you suck decline here, which would eventually bottom out down here, and you would have a little bit of genius rebound. But at this point, most people were so emotionally scarred that they eventually had to leave the agency, at which point you really sucked. In fact, you were dead for a while. You just totally sucked here. But if you succeeded in whatever endeavor you had, well, you would become a genius again, and we might be even willing to rehire you.
You never stopped.
I was wondering if...
Oh, this is a sideways chart. We got to flip this. Now this is the agency suck index. Okay. Up here, we suck a lot. Up here, we suck just a little. And I realized after a period of time, this was a function of two things. One, the quality of our creative work, and Rena's perception of her personal body weight. If you could map these two together, you would have the key to figuring out how the agency was working. The problem was when we hit an apex of both crappy creative and Rena feeling that she was fat. And that would create a crisis situation. In my mind, there were two of those, 1999 and 2005. Both times we had to fire creative directors. Fortunately, Rena hired a personal trainer at this point, so that got us going down on that thing back into the good. Here in 2005, we hired Chris, and she got a personal dietitian, so that helped us get out of that crisis. But I wish that I had put this in the lobby so people had a better idea of how the agency suck index was working.
It's true.
Now, is my matrix next? Oh, no. Who can guess what this chart is? In the world of analytics, we call this a scatter diagram. Because when Rena was in a shitty mood, everybody else scattered like hell. As everyone knows, I love to turn everything eventually into a matrix. Two things working against each other. And this matrix is very helpful for understanding the agency because on one matrix, Rena either felt skinny or she felt fat. She felt she had bad hair or fabulous hair. And if you could array these two against each other, you could know where the agency stood at any point in time. Now, an interesting thing is what I call the bones data point here. Because when she had bad hair and felt fat, we were in what I call the suck quadrant. And that meant we didn't go to bones at all. Now, if we were over in what I kind of call the okay quadrant, which was she was feeling a little overweight, but her hair was fabulous. But we could go to bones, but we had to have a salad. That's also the time we had agency gym memberships. Up here in the bad hair, but I'm skinny quadrant, we could go to bones and get dessert, chocolate helping your bad hair feeling somehow. She also went to the derby party because you could wear a big hat to hide your bad hair. In the good quadrant, where I'm feeling skinny and my hair is fabulous, well, at Bones, we could go and get a steak. We also had cake, parties, and beer at Town Hall. And this, thank God, is the last chart. And this is just how much we all love Rena. But I noticed an interesting thing. Did you ever notice if you turn a heart upside down, and perhaps this was because I was staying in a hotel room where I had a butt outside my window the whole week, that it looks like someone's mooning you if you turn it upside down. Just think about that.
That made no sense.
That was excellent, Mike.
That completes our people roasting Rena, although we have a